Okay, welcome to the jungle. We're back. All right, settled in. I just wanted to make this video. This is being made in the first week of March. And if you have been following this channel, you might remember way back in the last week of February, I posted a video called My Reaction to Andy Edwards. And in that video, I gave tribute to Andy, tried to honor him a bit, take a bit of a Mickey out of him. And the response was incredible. I really was overwhelmed by the people that came over from Andy's channel, and I didn't really anticipate that. There was a bunch of you that subscribed and a whole bunch more of you that were commenting and encouraging, and I really want to thank you for that. And so I just wanted to kind of make this follow-up, like we're done with that series called Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. This is kind of just going forward from here in our musical journey and stream of consciousness type of content. And I did just want to kind of extend a welcome to the people that are engaging with my content now, specifically that came over from Andy Edwards' channel. And really, I didn't expect the blow up. It's not like we went viral or broke the internet. But for my little channel, there was a gigantic spike in the views and the subscriptions. And it was really cool. Last week and this weekend was a lot of fun just seeing the response. And again, that was totally unintentional. I didn't anticipate that happening, and this video isn't trying to stir up more of that. It's more to kind of just set the stage for the music aficionados, the music files. I've got some nuggets I want to share with you today, and I notice a lot of you are joining from the UK, and I had made a brief appeal to the idea that the English aesthetic is very impactful here where I am in Canada. From a heritage standpoint and an influence standpoint, even so, I mean, we're culturally, as Canadians, very much more impacted by the American culture. And especially the American music scene. And we'll discuss, go into some of the implications of that, the cost-benefit analysis. But I'm really excited or rather intrigued by the engagement from people from across the pond, from how would we say, well, you know who you are. In any case, I really enjoy Andy's channel as well, because I pick up on a lot of the British vernacular. It was Andy's audience that informed me what pap is. And, things like we say, that's a bunch of trash, where you would say that, well, that's a pile of rubbish. Or, if it's got to go in the bin, here it's the garbage can. So just picking up on those English vernacular and colloquialisms, I love that. I think the linguistic enrichment is something that you guys can help me out on. In fact, if you're from the UK or from some region that maybe is outside of North America, or you have some kind of cultural not peculiarity, but something that I wouldn't necessarily know, send me a little comment there on things that you want Canadians to know that we wouldn't otherwise know. Like I had kind of said, like biscuits are called cookies here, crisps are chips. Along the lines of that culinary delights that you have to offer. I mean, I'd already covered the Scotch eggs. From what I understand, pork pies are something I'd probably be very interested in. I mean, my familiarity with British cuisine or that what England has had to offer is really pretty much toast and beans. That's fish and chips. Are we really going to give that to you? Like you think nobody would have come up with battered fish with some fries on the side? I mean, everybody does that. So I'm not gonna just hand that one over to you. But in any case, the British influence on music and our culture. And I had alluded to, Monty Python is something I had grown up with. Likewise, I guess, like I'm not trying to talk for Americans, but we here in the 51st state, we can see the clouds on the horizon. The storm clouds are definitely gathering, and the British influence culturally in America. I don't think there's a lot of Monty Python fans in the United States, or people that would be overly familiar. I'm sure there's a bit of a following. But on this side of the pond, we'd be more familiar with, say, Benny Hill or Mr. Bean. And, Rowan Atkinson, in his own regard, has got some really great stuff. But that's kind of, I think, what most people would be familiar with. So by all means, you Brits, limeys, I don't know, is that a slur or is that something you say, limeys? I don't know. If I need correcting on that, please let me know. The intention is not to offend, but to challenge all our thinking. But anyways, I got a couple of things I just wanted to share with you musically, and I kind of had an idea how to demonstrate this, but just how to introduce this. And this comes down to musical preferences, because I noticed some of the content comments from some of the music people after seeing that Andy Edwards video. There was, people that were going back and forth over prog and punk, and Andy thinks this or Andy says that. And it really is subjective. It's a matter of preference. And I kind of want to suggest this idea, and this is something I had heard. This isn't something original to me, but just stay with me on this. And the idea is that there's a possible epigenetic component to our tastes, and even musically. And what I mean by that, like epigenetics, it's a field of genetics. You could hear from the name of it. And genetics is the study of heritable traits that get passed down from generation to generation. And I graduated, just kind of give you a little more insight into my background. I graduated in 2014 from the University of Manitoba with a Bachelor of Science in Microbiology. And my wife, she was majoring in genetics and a minor in philosophy. So, at the entry level in the biological sciences, you were taking genetics, and at the upper levels, they went more into the epigenetic component of heritable traits and heritability. I didn't care too much for genetics. It was pretty dry, but it was being covered back, in 2010, 2011. So it was still a somewhat new idea in biological sciences. I don't know where that kind of research is nowadays. Now that I'm out of school, I'm not terribly interested in the cutting edge of that kind of stuff. But in any case, where epigenetics comes into musical tastes and preferences is, and this is how it was presented to me, is the idea that your ancestors may have had a response to the sounds that they heard, and without genetic material being transferred directly from generation to generation, it's a function of gene expression. And so the whole field of genetics is pretty wild. It can get pretty complex, but the idea of epigenetics is not that your cellular machinery is coding DNA or reading information straight off the chromosomes, but it's taking from a variety of sources within the cell and compiling that into a specific gene expression that manifests in the organism as a whole. So the idea here, I guess, let's give you an example. We're the Andy Edwards crew. It's a bunch of proggers and metalheads and the like. And so I'm just going to play this flat 5 riff, and you're going to recognize it. It's on a very cheap guitar, and I have no pedals, no effects, and no skill, but you'll get the gist of what's going on here. And so you'll recognize that. Those are the opening sounds you hear on what many believe to be the very first heavy metal album, on Black Sabbath, from the song Black Sabbath. And that's the infamous or notorious flat 5 interval. And we're not going to go into, the whole understanding of the scale and what's involved, but just that sound is very characteristic of this genre. And it's something that again, our ear is responding to that. So take yourself back in time, the first moments that you heard that flat 5, or you heard that Black Sabbath song, whether it was on an LP that you had just bought or played on the radio, or however you came across it, something in you responded to that. Now listen to this flat 5. So that's maybe a sound that one of your ancient ancestors might have heard. the church bells in your local town or hamlet, the call to worship. The bell makers, they may have been able to tune their bells, very accurately, but that sound is something that may resonate within your very DNA, provoking a favorable response, making your preference for a certain type or genre of music less subjective. So, I don't know what kind of research has been done into this field. I'm halfway just kind of talking out my rear end on this, but if you have any thoughts about this, put them in the comments again. I think this is really fascinating stuff. More along these lines, I'd heard someone give a talk years ago, just the understanding the different instruments that come into play and their physiological effects. And imagine the bass drum, or the war drum, the dum, 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 dum. Think back to, say, Braveheart, the war drums, and what they're doing is that low register thumping. It travels through the ground, and then the enemy side is hearing that, but also feeling that in their very body. It's almost like you feel it in your nuts, and the sense there from the attacking army is like, you're mine, you're going down. And it gives a sense of terror, to the person both hearing and feeling those vibrations, the sonic impact of that instrument. Likewise, with a guitar, from what I understand, at points in the distant past, they had used animal guts strung across a fretboard or across a board to create that twanging vibration. And so the sound of that gut that's stretched out tight, taut, when it's strummed, it's going to impact you in your gut. You're going to feel it in a very visceral way. And so, to me, that would explain the appreciation I have for so many guitarists out there. The guitarists were my rock heroes, the icons of old. And so it's like every instrument has its sonic register, its vibrational signature that appeals to a different part of your senses. The horned instruments, the woodwinds, those are more in the realm of the air. It affects you in your head more so than your heart or your bowels. The sound of the bell is that ringing. That's a very heavenly sounding sensation. And so if there's for lack of a better term, a God response when you hear that familiar chime that may have existed generations and generations ago, it may take you to a place where you're almost having, for lack of a better understanding, a religious experience. So am I saying God is in that sound? Not entirely, I wouldn't go that far, but what I'm saying is, as receivers of information and the ability to communicate with our environment, sounds have a profound effect on the human organism. So and leave me your thoughts on that. I find this kind of stuff fascinating. Uh, if you think I'm kind of wasting your time, that's all right too. Tell me about that. I love being challenged about the things I'm thinking about. You know, maybe somebody's got this all figured out and they could explain it better than I could. But it's, to me, it's neat stuff. I like neat stuff. I like interesting people. I like funny people. You know, the list keeps growing. And again, this channel is kind of me sharing with you, the audience, the stuff that matters to me. And kind of on that note, I remembered something I wanted to say about Andy Edwards, and it kind of came up in some of the comments, is that Andy and probably all creators are to some degree playing a character. It's not natural to sit in a room by yourself in front of an iPhone or a camera and have a conversation with nobody. So you kind of have to make a character up. And the character that you're seeing is Brent Shimko. And that's the best approximation of the real me that I can give to you. But you're not here. You're there, wherever there is. So I'm doing my best to be genuine. But there is a character, there is a bit of a method acting going on. And that's happening with Andy, it's happening with all of your favorite creators that are giving you this kind of thing. So rather than kind of attack the character or the person, I found it useful to look at the content that's out there on YouTube and evaluate whether, again, very subjectively, whether the person I'm watching, are they being genuine? Is it sincere? Because I can guarantee you all my opinions that I state on this channel are 100% true because they're my opinions. I can tell you that they're true. This is what I really believe. Are they accurate? Do they reveal truth objectively? Well, that's for you to decide. But I'm trying to be sincere. I'm trying to be as genuine as I can. So I don't mind being wrong, but my opinions are what they are, and yours are what they are. And I guess here's the crux of the matter. What started me as a YouTuber, I want to encourage you. If you have strong opinions about something I'm saying or anybody is saying, you've got an email account, you've got a YouTube account already, start putting out some content out there. Make some reaction videos of your own. Like it's an exciting time that we live in, that we can use a platform like this to do what we're doing. And very soon I'm going to be shooting that video of, why YouTube and why not pick some other way of expressing myself. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, it's clear sometimes you get in character. If Andy's putting on a funny hat, or I put on a funny hat, there's something a little more going on, and hopefully you're sophisticated enough to see that there's something going on. But there's also a message that's trying to be transferred from my heart to your heart. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. There's two more things I want. So in my video, the response to Mr. Edwards, I had spoken about the warning. And so I was getting some response on that. Just want to leave a little teaser here for you. Depending on the response to this video, I may have to do a response to the warning of Andy Edwards to my action. We'll sort it out, but let's put it this way. This may or may not be the last time you hear the words "the warning" used in context on this channel, and it all depends on you, the viewer. So I'll leave it with that. Final music component of this video, which I can already see some of you are switching off to something else already, is a Neil Peart story. And again, hats off to Andy Edwards. I am a Canadian. The band Rush is from Canada, but I never got into Rush. I was never that enthralled with them. I'm very familiar with their music. It just didn't do much for me. And I know there's a whole swath of people out there that adore Rush. And that's great. I love a Canadian success story. So much of our Canadian artists have migrated down to the States. I think I'm going to do a video just on that at some point, discussing, the importance of that, the whys, the impact of that. But yeah, and here's the story. So I was in a chat room recently, and someone in the chat had made a comment, Neil Peart, greatest drummer ever. And I sat back and thought, should I just let that go, or do I need to say anything? And me being the troll that I am, I dispassionately got my keyboard and typed the words, Neil Peart overrated, and did the Andy Edwards cowering, was waiting for the backlash, and the backlash never came. There was no pushback on that. So I thought that was pretty funny. I was kind of waiting to see a response. I was trying to poke, and either my poke didn't find its mark, or I don't know what, or maybe people immediately know in their heart, yeah, he's overrated. And I say that in the same spirit that Andy Edwards offered it, is that technically, as great as Neil Peart is, outside of the context of the band Rush, it would be hard for a Neil Peart, God rest his soul, to find the kind of notoriety and recognition and the ability to express himself. Again, my one regret, I guess, as a musician, is to not have picked up the drums, because there's so much about rhythm, time signatures that, the ability to tell a story with a drum kit, it's very mysterious to me. And I wish I had that in my toolbox of musical ability. I just don't. So I am speaking again out of my rear end on this, but I did find it amusing that I was able to not throw a bucket of wet water, throw a bucket of water on the conversation, but there was no reaction to to the thought that maybe Neil Peart is not the greatest of all time. And if you're out there watching this and you feel he is, help me understand why he is. Now, having said that, in my YouTube recommendations just this morning, or maybe it was last night, and I watched it this morning, there was a reaction video to, let's find it here. I'm going to put the link, where are we? Channel I had never heard, but I had heard the name of the drummer, and many of you will have heard this too. The title of the video is called The Best Drummer Ever Born, Buddy Rich Drum Solo, and the channel is Estepario Siberiano. Nailed it. I'm gonna tag that and put the link to the actual video, and very entertaining stuff. You know, this guy is not an influence on me on how to or why to start a YouTube channel, but he's got 5 million subscribers. So his combination of humor, the analysis of Buddy Rich's solo, and my appreciation for seeing Buddy in this performance, it's fantastic. So I think drummers and music-philes alike are going to enjoy this video, and I'll include it here. I mention it because Neil Peart himself, when asked who was the greatest drummer, he essentially said, hands down, it's Buddy. So do with that what you will. I think I've waffled on long enough here. Again, I look forward to seeing more of the UK influence on this channel through the subscribers and the comments and the various dialogues we can have. There's been some really great conversations. I've enjoyed it all. At this point, I'm attempting to respond to all the comments. But again, thank you to all who subscribed in the last week. I went from like 25 subscribers to 85 subscribers in a matter of a few days, and it feels really neat when that happens. So again, hopefully I could provide some more neat content for you guys. We'll shut it down here. But remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Even if you're always subscribed, subscribe again. And yeah, till the next one. Have a great one. Bye-bye.